Okay, this time on Crazy Car Projects, I am flushing the cooling system in the Subi I just got because it's pure water. It's just straight water. So with whatever gunk was left over from the previous system, but I actually tested it with a test strip and it freezes at 32 degrees. And the pH was pretty close to perfect for water, so neutral.
Yeah.
So I think they actually used distilled water when they changed it, but they didn't do anything else. So it's getting below freezing. I'm going to have to change this.
True.
And there's also a problem with the heater core being very slow to respond. So I need to flush it out. I'm hoping I can just drain it out and it'll be fine, because it could be partly due to the fact that there's only water in the system, so it builds pressure a little differently, flows a little differently.
Yeah.
So it could have been the fact that there's a little more resistance, so the water had to get hotter. But it did work eventually. But I'm going to flush it out, make sure it's fine. I'm also trying to make sure that it's not leaking, because there is water getting into the vehicle somehow. It's possible that it's just simply from the windshield seals. Sometimes will get old and you'll end up with spots where water will sneak in. And I'm hoping that's the case. It's annoying, but not a problem.
Yeah, the water puts on a little burglar outfit with the mask, you know, and the
really
striped
sneaky.
shirt. Yes.
And not original at all. But if the heater core is gone, that's a major undertaking to change, because you have to dismantle a great deal of the interior. So
with us, it really does mean dismantle. Things will get broken.
so far, we've already dismantled the interior and discovered part of the weird smell inside of there was the fact that there was dog food, dry dog food, that had packed up around the shifter somehow. I don't know how they got dog food under the console into the shifter area, but getting rid of it helped a little bit.
I'm just imagining Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, where he had the ashtray full of dog food. He goes, "Here you go, little fella."
Yeah.
I'm just imagining that.
Yeah, but we got that cleaned out and checked the linkages, because as in the previous video, the shifter is kind of connected.
Weebly wobbly.
Yeah, and it does look like that it's just going to be the main junction between the transmission and the shifter underneath the car. The bushing inside the car was good. The seat plate was good, so there were no problems there. And there doesn't seem to be any problems with play going first, second, so back and forth. So the two bushings at the transmission are probably fine. It's just the linkage in between is all
wonky.
Yeah, I think the rubber bushings in it are completely gone. So you got all that slop because there's nothing grabbing.
Yeah, but that'll be all covered on a different video.
Yeah.
I'll do my best to make him disassemble it again and show you what he's talking about.
And you will need some swivel bits on this one, because this is inconvenient. I already broke it loose, but to remove this canister, you need 10 millimeter socket or wrench, because that's a 10 millimeter bolt. And it's a little hard to get to, so you got swivel and swivel to get stuff out of the way. A knuckle would work too. And I think it's only 10 millimeter I'm working with, so I'm going to do this and hopefully not lose it.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm going to stick these two things because I've got to figure out which one. I have a hose clamp that the flat is not deep enough to catch a flat anymore, so I've got to try to use a wrench.
Just yank it right off. Yank it right off. Don't even look. Just rip as hard as you can. Come on.
That bolt does not need removed. The bolts for the fan, there's just a little push clip here that you push in to remove that.
Oh.
And
I'm kind of disappointed.
I am too.
I was expecting you to break something. I was expecting you to break something when I told you to rip it off. Huh.
But it's actually not that bad. It's gunky. Did someone run? I think, actually, looking at it, I think they've replaced the head gaskets and the timing belt and everything. I haven't taken it off, but looking at the fact that they busted the cover, and it's leaked a little bit, and this water looks like this tank looks like it had oil in it at one point, but the radiator is brand new and the water in it is clean.
Yeah.
I think that this was, it probably had the head gaskets redone and the timing belt redone. Hard to track history on this thing because when I got the title, it had changed hands between 3 dealerships. And it had been traded in. And it was bought used from another dealership. So there's no telling what's been done to it. The belts, the outer belts are fairly new though. This radiator's brand new. And it looks like this has all been apart in recent history. So I think they've gone through and changed the head gaskets, changed the timing belt, probably the water pump, and replaced the radiator.
So it's like the village bicycle. Everybody got a turn with this car.
Yeah, so. But that's got a little oil slick from what's in there, but the water in the bottom, it's just obvious they didn't clean this out real good after they got done. So I'm going to put some, now, like I said, this is pure water, so I'm less worried about it, but I'm still going to try to be careful about pouring it places where pets aren't going to get into it. Animals don't get into it.
Yeah.
But generally, I'll let most of it go out on the ground because it is just water.
Yes, and that's what we're going to make sure you understand here. This is water. This is not antifreeze that's going to be going on the ground.
In this one, I'm actually going to pour into this empty tank because it's got other stuff in it too.
Yeah. If it was antifreeze, we would set up catch cans or drip trays or what have you to catch it.
Or have it in a proper spot. It just peed on me.
Well, when you gotta go, you know.
But normally, what I end up doing with this is I do it on a gravel bed, someplace where water will not flow, it won't go anywhere to contaminate. And because it breaks down, it is organic, and it will break down most of the time, depending on the type of coolant.
Yeah. Check.
And a lot of times it'll be fine, but you need to check what you're using and whether or not it breaks down or not, as well as local requirements. Some sewer systems can't even take this stuff. It messes up the treatment process.
That's what I was about to say. Check with your local authorities and check with your...
And do not put in a septic system.
Yes. Don't put that in a septic system.
And I am going to be using Simple Green to clean this, which is also organic, biodegradable, non-toxic. So I will be pouring it out, but it's nothing toxic to pour out. Okay. I'm using just straight Simple Green in their full concentration to try to break up what's in there loose. It's foaming over. just remember that it's Simple Green in there because it is the same color as coolant. It is not coolant. And there's a vent hole back here I had to cover. I splashed myself twice trying to figure out what's going on.
It's peeing on me again.
Yep.
Don't get it on me.
I'll get it on you too. But I've shaked it well. Then I'm going to let it sit this way because this is where the worst of the grease was, and let it sit and soak. And then clean it off better. Give me some towels. But I'll clean that off good. Try to get the oil out. But there's no oil in it currently. And the fact that there's oil, not unusual for these Boxster engines. Eventually, over time, they tend to have head gasket problems. And so the fact that it's been done is nice.
Yeah, which, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a me question. Since the pistons are going to the side, I can't motion, maybe you can motion for me. Yes. So the heads are on the sides.
On the sides, yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. That's where the head of the piston would be. I got you. I'm loining here. I have enough auto knowledge officially now to be dangerous.
I know.
That's why you won't ever let me fix anything.
At least you know it.
True story. I once, at one point in time, he saw me with a wrench in my hand, gonna put it to Rita, and he ran to the car and took it out of my hand to do it for me.
Well, first off, you had a tool that you weren't supposed to use with it.
It would have worked.
So, when you start taking power tools to plastic stuff, I get concerned.
I'm impatient, so sue me.
Oh yeah, Simple Green not a sponsor. That drink not a sponsor.
Yeah. We're small, we're broke, and we're unimportant right now. We have no sponsors.
Okay.
What?
I'm definitely taking that line off. You want to know why?
Why?
They didn't put a hose clamp back on it.
That would be a problem.
Well, maybe they did. They did. They put it so it's impossible to take off.
That'd be a problem too. Okay, you're not allowed to say, okay, and go.
I'm not.
You're not.
Okay. I won't say go. But out here, I can't really get to what I think's the plug without taking a whole bunch of stuff off, so I'm just taking the bottom feed return line in.
I'll try to get in there.
And, well, yeah, you can see it from above. It's the big line down here on the bottom over on this side, behind, back there.
I gotta walk around you.
And I discovered the hose clamp was not tightened down going back to the engine. So if this had run for any significant amount of time, this would have blown off.
Again, apologize for focusing. You see how loose that hose clamp is there?
Yeah, it was already... I went and took a wrench to it to see if the side was there, and it moved.
Yeah.
And I just reached up there with my finger and was untightening it because it never was tightened down. And 8mm. So far, the big clamps have been 8mm bolts on them. But yeah, this one was not tightened. The one on the radiators where you can't get to it, and this one was not tightened down. Although it's fitted line, so it doesn't want to come off either. There we go.
At least it ain't brittle.
It should drain down. There's, I think, a drain port on this side, but it's going to be really impossible to get to with this on the ground.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drain it this way.
If only we had the idea to put it on ramps.
Even with ramps, it would be near impossible to get to. Because this thing sits so low right now, even with ramps on it, I don't have room to get under it, even with ramps.
So, what Carl just said was please like, share, and subscribe so we can get some cheap auto lifters of some kind. Even the cheap ones you roll in on the sides would be good.
Because this is going to be all kinds of fun when I go to change the clutch and fix the linkage, because I'll have to put it on ramps, then probably jack it, then probably put blocks on the ramps. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Now I'm taking the heater core lines off.
He said he's taking the heater core lines off.
Because it needs drained and it may actually need flushed. I got a flush kit and 8mm still on the clamps.
These are the two heater core lines
Yep,
right there.
in and out. And the lower one's the out, upper's the in, I believe, because the upper warmed up, the lower didn't. And it took a long time. Start with one of them, if I can get one of them off. I'm trying to get these lines off and not very successfully.
They're old, you gotta wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
I'm actually not sure how old they are. They seem fairly, they don't look that old, but the engine was pulled to be worked on. They may have been replaced then. I know that they have the original clips in the back, which are going to be a nightmare, so I'm not removing them back there. It's this style clip. The front clips have been replaced, so also the engine's probably been removed, because all the clips at the engine have been changed out just about.
Yeah, and it would make sense, because if you mix up the blue and the green, you get a solid, not a liquid. And I'm thinking they put the Asian blue in their engine when they had Asian green, or vice versa.
Probably, because I had a heck of a time getting Asian green coolant that's supposed to be in this vehicle.
Yeah, so make sure on your coolant, don't just mix the damn things up.
Yep,
match the colors.
And there's 4 types of Asian coolant. I think the red Honda and the red Toyota might be the same, but you've got 2 types of red. You have Asian green, and then you have blue. Yes. And the blue replaced the Asian green on a lot of the newer cars, but they are not compatible. If you put the green in it, or the blue in a green system, or green in a blue system, you're going to ruin your system.
You've made Jello.
Yeah, because it reacts and it solidifies.
And that's what you did. You basically made Jello. But since we got this, you got to get a hood with a hood scoop.
I don't know. I may do that. I know that's meant for an intercooler, but I may do it in the ram air. I don't really want to do a turbo on this, but I'm thinking about doing... I'm already going to put a performance coil, plugs, and wires on, just to get rid of the misfire. Right now, this coil is going bad. That side's heating up as you drive, and I think number 3 is misfiring, because there is a misfire. I don't have a computer to say which one's misfiring, but there's a misfire. That's next. But I had to do this now before the system froze and broke. If I can get this stupid line off. I'm not replacing, I do not want to have to replace this hose.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And push and wiggle and push and wiggle and the battery leaks. It still works and it starts really easy, but this battery has leaked. And
yeah.
Which is real reassuring. I'm going to clean it off with some more distilled water, but it's an AC Delco, so...
Somebody didn't know what they were doing on how to refill the battery.
I don't know.
No, I know. That's exactly what happens. If you got a battery that is like that, you got to put distilled water in it, and you don't know what you're doing, and you overfill it. That's what it does when it warms up. It boils.
But they're not supposed to be filled up. This has been traded amongst many dealerships, so there's been a lot of interesting stuff done, and I have a feeling that this thing was, oh, let's do this and trade it.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling probably that's when the first dealership got it, probably, and the head gasket was. They did all that stuff. And traded it, and then they traded it, and they traded it.
Yep.
And then I bought it.
Just to update to you on what happened, we poured a little distilled water through the radiator to try to flush the rest of the chemical out, because he got tired of pulling on the heater hoses right now.
Yeah, I'm still working on getting this lower one loose. It's getting there. It's starting to break its seal.
Maybe one day.
But it flows really good, so radiator's not clogged anyway. You pour the water in, it runs right out the other side about as quick as you can pour it.
You can kind of see right there, almost. I'll zoom in.
But I'm using
and
distilled
it makes
water.
It worse.
Because you really want to use distilled water, especially if you're somewhere like we are here, where our water makes stalactites or stalagmites, depending.
You don't want minerals in the water, because minerals in the water becomes minerals in your cooling system, as in rocks.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've gotten the exit line off.
Yes. And he said rocks don't cool real good.
Yeah, rocks don't cool real good. Now I got to get this one off.
Good luck.
Nice new hose clamps. They've not been on there that well. I say that. From the way they talked, see, it was supposed to be sitting a long time. That's what the dealership I bought it from had got information on it. They had sat for a long time, and he just changed the plugs, which they didn't replace the plugs, wires, or coils. But it looks like this engine's been out. So I'm going to guess got traded. Probably needed head gaskets. First place did the head gaskets and changed the timing belt.
Yeah.
And someone changed the radiator. That may have been the owner when they traded it.
May have been, yeah.
Because there does seem to be a little oil in it, so it would have been pre-head gasket job. And so it's just one of those interesting things. And it was supposed to be sitting, but it didn't actually show having been traded until I think September is when the dealership actually took ownership of it. So there's no telling. It may have been sitting in the shop for a year. This is an interesting one, and I don't normally buy from these type of vehicles from dealerships. I say that, but I've bought several dealerships this way. But
you got to know what you're looking for.
Yeah,
ultimately.
and know what you're getting into, and know the dealership. I tell you what. You have crooked dealerships, and then you have ones that sell cheap cars, and they know what they're selling, and they're honest about it. And that's what you want to kind of lean toward. They're like, okay, I don't know what's wrong with it. We've done, he changed the plugs and tried to diagnose to figure out what was going on, but decided that he would sell it to somebody that would fix it. And I've bought an old truck that way before. I actually traded a car that needed work done with a water pump that I couldn't do because you had to pull the engine.
Yeah.
Which the mechanic actually taught me a trick that worked for that dealership where they didn't have to pull the engine, because if you could lift it and get in there, but he was tiny. He was the fabled left-handed midget.
Yes, the one everybody's looking for.
But he just said, well, you can back the bolt, drain the system, back the bolts off, pull what's left of the gasket, put an instant gasket around it, and put it back together and seal up. and it sealed it up apparently, but I don't know how long, because the person that bought it from them totaled it within 3 weeks of owning it. So, which was a shame, because it was a very nice 929, Mazda 929. But I didn't really need the car anymore. I couldn't afford to fix it, and I needed a truck, so I got a truck.
Yep.
And taking the upper line off, because I've got to use the upper line to feed water through it. And I'm debating how I'm going to do this, because it's made to be done with a water hose. But as I stated, our water here is so hard that I'm not even going to try that.
That would be bad.
So I've got a spray bottle I might be able to attach something to do it.
I just say just get the funnel out and pour
I'll
distilled
do
water
that
through
too.
the funnel.
See how, that's what I'm going to start with. But if it needs to be pressured, that's probably what I'm going to have to do. Because I don't know if it's clogged or if it was just not wanting to work right. Just push and work and push and work and push and work and push and work.
Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Ugh.
Yeah. They didn't flush that. Alright, let's do it this way. I can start with this. Because I can do this without a funnel. I get distilled water.
Remember, if you want your engine to grow up big and strong, you got to
water it regularly.
Yes, water your engine regularly so it could grow up big and strong, and that is flowing
That's
freely
flowing
through
very
there.
well.
Yes.
So it's not clogged. It's just it wasn't doing a good job with just bad water, and I think it was just tap water too.
Yeah, which is bad.
And now it's flowing perfectly.
Look at that. And then it's getting clearer.
And I didn't even use System Flush on it. I forgot to buy it, and I'm glad. And it doesn't matter. I don't need it. That's brilliant. So
Brilliant.
Now the fun part's going to be well, hello. What do you go to? Random nut that's left there. I'm going to have to go get a magnet and get that out. I wonder what that goes to. I'll probably find out at a bad time.
Things you don't want your mechanic to say.
I wonder what that goes to.
Boy,
oh, what's that doing there?
I found a new nut on this.
Well, that's permanent now. Let's see how this is doing while we're filming.
Sure.
Because this has been degreasing.
And like you said, it's simple green.
Yeah, and it's coming along. It's not going to get it perfectly green. I can't get in there and scrub. But the green is turning a little black, so it's getting some of that oil out.
Which is good.
Shake it up, foam it up again till it won't shake anymore, and let it go again. Don't worry, it's just degreaser.
Again, you got to water your engine to make sure it grows up big and strong.
And this time I'll change which way it's laying.
Yeah. That's how you make a 4-cylinder V6. You water it regularly.
You know, I honestly wonder if the flat 6 would fit in here, the 3.6 liter. It was never offered that I know of on the Impreza. It may have been. I don't remember it ever being offered, but there's not every year I looked at.
Well, if this channel gets money, we may try to do that if we still have this car. If we get monetized, which means you got to subscribe, you have to subscribe and ring the bell.
I'll make this thing a rally monster. I'll put the flat 6, a naturally aspirated rally monster with a flat 6, forced air snorkel. I can do a forced air snorkel. And the Outback suspension put on it, because this one, later it became the Forester. You just got the Forester suspension to do a lift.
Yeah.
This time period, they actually made an Impreza Outback. So you can get an Outback suspension for it, which is it's just about the same amount of lift.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a lift kit. It adds 1 inch, 2 inches.
It's just insane.
So, and you can get aftermarket ones that give even more lift. So, if I did an 8.6 on this thing, I'm thinking a Dakar Rally build.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you want to see projects like that, you have to subscribe and get your friends to subscribe. We need subscribers to be able to afford projects like that.
Otherwise, I'll just keep fixing it the way I am.
Yes.
Which is, oh, I spent an extra $50 on coils and wires and plugs.
Yes. Especially, we got something coming up in the spring, don't we? The trip.
Oh, yeah.
The
It's
trip.
supposed to have been in the fall, but your car's not ready.
My car is nowhere near ready.
And neither's my Buick and this thing. So it's just, yeah, it didn't happen. My cars aren't ready. The only one currently ready is the Pontiac.
Yeah, Sonny is ready. The rest of Rita's not ready.
With its track record of every time we try to make a video for it, we lose video, it's not usable, whatever. That car is just jinxed for making video. We have great material for videos when we don't have video. When we get video, the video's not usable.
Pretty much.
It's a jinxed car.
It's a jinxed car at this point.
It's not mine, so...
Yeah.
But that was an easy flush. I expected this to be a nightmare. This actually has proved to be a very easy flush. Although, I'll probably be fighting with it for hours trying to get all the air out of the system.
So how do you do that? How do you get the air out?
You're going to fill it up.
Are you going to fill the radiator up?
Fill the radiator up.
Okay,
I'm put that back on.
Yes, of course. Put that back on first.
To fill the radiator back up, I'm actually going to leave the outlet off on that one, so that it can get water through it. I will start it up open for a moment to let the pump pull some water. And that way, hopefully I can see it pouring water out here, then turn it off, so it'll only run for a short period. You can do it, there's pressure things you can get and put on here to push air out so you get water flowing. There's different ways, but a lot of times what you end up having to do, you put it on, you let it run, you leave the cap off so it can get air.
Okay.
And keep putting fluid in. And then seal it off, let it run, take it off, fill it up.
Alright.
Keep repeating that.
Okay.
Because you got to burp the system, get the air out of the system. Change this clip so I can get to it without laying on the ground. Nice new hoses too, so this is so nice with new hoses because they flex and move and bend and
like rubber is supposed to.
Yeah, they're not concrete at this time.
If you have hoses and they don't move and flex and bend, you might, while you're doing this, want to just replace the hoses. Yep. Maybe. I don't know. Up to you.
Also, really nice. They use good clips because the clips move by finger.
Well, for...
You know, I'm putting this back because I didn't need it.
Like I said, he's losing that because he didn't need it.
Don't need that. I'm going to put this back in because I didn't need to take that off because that's actually for the fan shroud. Explain why it was so hard to get to. And it's plastic, so you don't do super tight.
Yeah, only good and tight. Don't go all the way down to oak strength.
Good tight.
Good and tight.
Hold it with my right hand. Hey, I wore a less raggy shirt today.
He did. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can get some shoes.
Yeah, the last video I realized how ragged the shirt I wore that day was. Didn't realize how bad that shirt had gotten. Belt's going to squeal a little bit because I've gotten a little water on it.
At least until it dries off.
Throwout bearing squeals, and the more I'm looking at, that seems to be a common problem with replacement kits. The replacement bearing squeal new. So that has me concerned that it already has a new clutch. But I'm going to, despite driving kit nuts, I'm going to live with it until it gets louder. Because yes, if throwout bearing goes, you're in trouble, you have no clutch. But if it's been sitting, if it's actually been sitting longer than the 3 months it indicated from the paperwork, if it's been sitting for about a year, sometimes clutch stuff will get fussy and it takes a couple hundred miles to break in. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And also not super tight, but a little more than I can do with my fingers. More than what it was done before because it was barely tight. I've had hoses blow off the stuff, so I probably over tighten my clamps, but it's a legitimate reason.
Well, you know, if your hose is leaking at that junction, sometimes all you need to do is just tighten the hose clamp down a little bit, and it stops the leak. There
we go. That's all done. Back on the bottom. Let's put some coolant in this.
Let's get some Go Juice in it.
All right, and now to add coolant. I have left the exit line off for the heater core for right now to let air escape as I fill it. And then I'll have to cycle. But I'm going to start off with full bottle. This is Asian Vehicle Green. If they tell you it don't exist, they're lying. It does. Just apparently not as common And when you ask for agent coolant, they always give you blue or Honda or Toyota,
Yeah,
which are red.
you might want, again, we've explained why that's a bad thing. Liquid coolant becomes solid not coolant if you mix them together. That's a bad thing to do.
And I will be adding water to this too. This is concentrate. I tend to run about a 75% solution. It's two reasons for that. One, that gives you maximum freeze protection. It will protect against Arctic weather. And the second one is the fact that it actually tends to need flush less. So you get a longer life out of the coolant.
Is that good to do in the southern climates with a 75%, or is it better to go 50-50?
50-50 is fine in southern climates, so you don't really need the extra freeze protection, but it doesn't hurt to do the 75%. And you got to watch your vehicles. There are some that can't take that level. I'm just giving it some time to bubble. It's bubbling.
Dutch angle it here because I'm trying to get everything in at once. I apologize to y'all.
Yeah.
When we started this channel, I bought a cheap GoPro, a refurbished GoPro off of Amazon, and the dang thing, the screen kept cutting out, so I would believe I had a good shot, and then turns out it's just his arm or like his chest or something. So,
Then we got then you got another GoPro, and discovered the angles were weird.
yes.
They're great for stationary. They're not real good as a carry camera.
They're not. I know some people use them, but I've been having better luck with phones personally.
Another thing with this one, the fact that it's had pure water in it means that everything that's in the engine didn't necessarily get drained because I didn't do a full flush.
Yeah.
Is going to be just water. So you're also have to calculate it in. I don't know the exact volume for this thing, although I have drained the heater for it.
Yep.
Did it just start peeing?
It's peeing. It's peeing. I swear it's peeing. Sorry if you didn't see that.
Just barely. It's pushing air through. That means air is actually getting up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. That's why I have that open, so air can get out of it.
So are you putting it all the way on?
Yeah, I'm putting it all the way on now because coolant has made it back there.
Yeah.
And that was actually coolant because that wasn't just, it was green and it was thick. So that means that this has bled well, it bubbled well, so I may not have too much trouble. Also makes it a lot smaller cooling system than I expected.
Well, it's a lot smaller engine than I expected. Look at this T90 baby thing.
But I was expecting it to be a 3-gallon system. I think it's actually going to end up being about 1.5 gallon system. First, I've got to reattach these hoses now because that has done on its own what I was waiting on. So I don't even have to run it to check the pump.
So the heating issue probably was because it was just straight
Just
water.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it's not leaking,
Yeah.
but it's at least it's not clogged, which is a reason why sometimes they do leak. They get clogged and they blow out from pressure.
Well, some of that water was coming out. Look more closer to brown than clear, so might have been a good thing to get it out.
It all needed to go out. The system needed cleared out because I don't think that was distilled water. Reverse osmosis systems do some good, but distilled, it's 90 cents. I'll just get a couple jugs of distilled water.
Exactly, and I'll spend, like I keep saying, I'll spend 90 cents rather than spending the $400 plus in parts and another $150 in labor to replace a cooling system.
And watch your hose clamps. Make sure they're convenient to work on again, because someday you will.
Mm-hmm. And make sure they're not rubbing on things. Like if you got a hose clamp next to a fuel line, make sure that it's not rubbing on the fuel line.
That is not an exit port. You want to know what that is?
What?
There's one down there.
Mm-hmm.
This radiator has the cooler for the transmission. And you don't have that on a manual. That's for an automatic. So this radiator is for an automatic.
Okay.
That may have been the drain port down there, but there's 2 more ports.
Yes.
And I was thinking the one down there was, and I just now noticed, paid attention to what that was. And I thought, that's actually the stopcock there. That was the drain port. That is probably for the transmission cooler. That doesn't exist.
Oh, okay. So there it is, right there. I see the plastic right there, the white plastic stop cover.
After we're done, it don't matter. Which, using the large lower hose, I think it's actually quicker.
Hmm.
Add some water to this.
Again, he's just pausing every once in a while to give it time to burp.
Yep. Shimmy and shake it a little bit too.
Whole lot of shaking going on. Bubble, 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 burp.
Also, part of the reason why I started with coolant, then went to water, is because then when you get to the point where it's likely to back up, it's just water backing up. It's not coolant. It's just very little coolant, there's any coolant in it.
So how does it mix? It is just naturally mixing the...
When you start it up and let it run for a little while, it'll mix.
Okay.
Now you want to make sure you put some coolant in the overflow and make sure it's at least 50-50 once I get done cleaning it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'll freeze and pop.
Which would be bad.
I've just got my thumb on the overflow line. Because the filler reservoir is not very big, so it's not letting me put very much in before it has to be burped. Oops.
Yep.
Like I said, that's why I water at the end. And you'll have to fill it more. But that's about a 1.5 gallon system. So that's about right. That makes it well, it's about a 3 gallon system, which makes it smaller than I expected, but I can put this, I'll let it keep burping. It may burp yet.
Yeah, especially when you start running it, it may burp a little bit.
But it should burp into the reservoir.
Yeah, okay. So I had that wrong.
Yeah. You could run it, but this one I don't think it's going to cooperate with us because the pressure, the inline's right there.
Okay.
So I think it would just spew out. Better, but not great. And my hands are already greasy again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this thing's had a head gasket job.
More than likely.
Headlights are questionable. I don't know whether to restore these or put some new ones on that are LED.
If you got a vote, let us know. Let us know what you want, the way you want Subi to go, because there's some black LEDs that would look good, that I think would look good. He's talking about just restoring these because those are expensive.
Yeah, the originals are actually the most expensive thing you can get for this vehicle.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting the stuff out of it to clean the grease off the outside, so I quit having sticky hands from handling it. And I think Kit was cleaning it the other day and getting all kinds of black sticky stuff off. I think it's all grease. It's got a black interior, but I think it's all grease from being worked on.
Could be. Could be. Some mechanics, they get in there with dirty, greasy hands. They don't think to wear gloves when they're inside somebody's interior. Of course,
it's a nice black interior, so it doesn't show any. It's all clean. Clean is going to get. It's still not perfect inside there, but it's a whole lot better than it was. You can actually see through the reservoir now.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing earlier. I was like, wow, that is like, I can see through it now.
Yeah. And it got anything loose out of it, and I've washed all the degreaser out of it, all the Simple Green, which, not sponsored, but I wish they were because I love that stuff. Because it's non-toxic, it's not super harmful, and it does a good job for what it is. There we go.
Get in your
Line
home.
that up, and it pops in. And, oh, hold on a minute. Let me pop that back out. I see something they didn't do that I just noticed. That's supposed to go there. That wasn't that way when I got it. So now I fixed it even more.
Yes, it's fixed. And he didn't break it this time.
Oh, I needed a hose clamp for the return line.
Yes.
Because, yeah, there probably had a springy one and it's gone.
So you're getting a hose clamp now?
I'll do that, but first I'll go and fill this up. I am going to mix a little bit of water and coolant to fill that up. And it's got a cold foil line down at the bottom, which is harder to see when it's in.
It looks...
It's nowhere close to full yet, but I'm just trying to see where it's at.
Yeah. We're trying to get you ahead, but we can't see much ourselves right now.
I think it's at full now. It's... Oh, I overfilled it. It's there instead of there, but that's all right. It'll probably take that fluid up anyways because it still needs fluid.
It's got air pockets in the system.
Yeah. If it's over full, it's got some extra, it's got some cushion space in there. It's not horribly over full. Alright, got hose clamp. I got a spring one too, but I think it's too big, but I found a small one. So I'll get that, but I'm also going to put a couple caps on those lower receivers, both the clean out and the other end for the transmission, which this doesn't have, just to keep stuff from getting in it. It won't have any pressure on it, at least it shouldn't have any pressure on it. But I don't want stuff getting in it either. Got that. That plug's tiny because I've had dirt daubers clog these things before.
They like small holes like that, don't they?
Yeah. And these are actually vacuum covers. Vacuum line plugs. Nope, it actually is bigger than that. One of these three will fit. It better, because I'm out of options. There we go, that long one fit. That was the right size. I figured it'd be the super long one I don't need, the one that's going to be the right size. Okay.
Did you want to put the clamp on?
Yep, I got to put the clamp on. I got me, this is a 6mm, and I got a 6mm just in case I needed it, but I shouldn't.
He mumbles to himself a lot in these things.
Yeah.
Sometimes a microphone can pick up what he's saying. Not in that case, I didn't hear what he said.
Well, it's just trying to get it, and this is one of those. I'm trying to make sure it's pointing in a direction I can get to it, but I don't have a choice but to have it down. So I'm going to have to face it into the engine block, which I'm not happy with. Okay, it's going to make it harder to take off again. If the spring clip had been the right size, I would have used it because they are more convenient on this. It's aggravating, but that should be sufficient. Yeah, I can't pull that off. So there we go. Now, get everything out of the engine bay.
Yes, do that. We're recording.
All right, now to start it, let it get temperature, burp, see if anything spews or leaks.
All right, and we're going to sit out here at a reasonably safe distance. A reasonably safe distance. Down there don't seem to be leaking. A little smokage, but that's to be expected. We spilled some. You got a little smokage out the side over here.
It's going to get water and steam.
Yeah.
All the water is going to be cooking off.
Yep, like I said, that's to be expected because we spilt some on there.
I still forgot to get the magnet and get that bolt.
You did. At least you know it's secure.
That's saying there's moisture in there, but whatever it is, it's oil. So I don't know what would be leaking oil in this run department. But we had this in there that's been in there for a long time. You know what I think it is?
What?
I think they had an air freshener in the glove box, one of the oil ones, and it leaked.
Yeah.
And they attract moisture too, so some of them attract moisture. That's probably how they release some scent, so once they're open. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the whole problem with the glove box.
And the musty smell. I think you might be correct, because you know they always have the stick-on car clips things.
Yeah.
Or, as I like to call it, no officer, I haven't been smoking clips.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, officer.
Yes. Well, son, your eyes are like stop signs, and you got the air freshener clip-ons on your dash. What is that you're playing with?
This is the tire tool. For some reason, it was in the glove box. This is your tire tool. Your jack tool and everything for changing. Got a bolt, a wrench, all kinds of stuff. And it was in the glove box for some reason. We took all that out to check the linkage. We didn't end up filming it, but we found dog food. Kind of wish we had filmed it.
Yeah, that would have been nice to film, but
Yeah, you were busy.
what was I doing that day?
It was yesterday evening.
Oh, I
You
was
were
cooking.
cooking.
I was cooking. It's my turn
You
to
were
cook.
cooking.
Yes.
So we wanted dinner. I was doing yard work, and
You could have grabbed the phone.
Kit didn't plan on working on it. He was just going to pull it apart to make sure, see if we had to fix that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got in it, and it was full of dog food, dry dog food.
Oh, Lord.
And he cleaned it out for me.
Yeah.
And by the time I thought, oh, we should have taken a picture of that, it was already gone. It's like, oh well.
Yeah.
But see, it looks like this gasket may have leaked a little bit. I think this door was left open a little bit. I don't think this door was closed all the way. And that is where the moisture came through. And the reason why it's kind of musty.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sat. We'll go to top and bottom, that one. And that should get it all circulating. I think they have one of those stupid air fresheners in here and it exploderized. They cleaned it out, but
Yeah. That's what happened.
it has all the books and everything for it, and it has the STI WRX book for some reason.
Yeah, and it's not an STIWRX.
A little bit, I don't know what to do to stop. We're starting to bubble rust. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got a body shop guy I may talk to and see if there's anything we can do. You can hear it being a 3-cylinder.
No,
There, it's back to 4.
2.5 RS Impreza.
And that'll get fixed once the coils get fixed.
Yeah. It is cold. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Because a couple of puffs of white smoke came out the back. I'm like, it's cold. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, it just started up. It's cold. Engine. It's probably low on coolant.
Now take a look.
Well, it hasn't sucked it all out of the reservoir yet. So.
Reservoir's still at the OK line?
Yeah, the reservoir hadn't moved yet. Like I said, the engine badly needs coils.
Yeah, which we'll do that soon.
Okay, well, it got up to temperature. It did good. Only thing it's complaining about is the fact of the 2 boxers. One of them's got a broken hand right now, so every once in a while it misses a blow. And
Yes.
it blinks when it does it.
Yes.
And complains. But it seems to be running good. Didn't have any problems. Once the thermostat opened up, the heat kicked on, and there's no leak. I think the moisture, I think there was oil, and it had an odor to it. I think they had one of the air fresheners in that glove box, and it got busted, and it may have been one of the ones that use the hydro for scent release.
Yeah.
So it attracts water, so the oil was attracting water on anything that was touching it or near it.
Yeah.
So I cleaned all that out, and I don't see anywhere where there's any moisture coming in. So I think the heater core is fine. But it didn't take any fluid in, but I got it up to temperature, let it run for a while, cycle the system. I'll let it cool. When it's cooling, if it's not full, should pull coolant out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll check it again.
Okay.
And I'll do that a few times with cycle, but it's, for all intents and purposes, it's done.
Alrighty-o. And that's another one in the can.
Yep. And a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
A lot easier, too.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. So next time.
Okay. And y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.
And please like, share, and subscribe. Please like, share, and subscribe.
I'll see if I can find that jug.
Yes. Alrighty. Thanks for hanging out.